so I'm adding people.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Right. We'll go ahead and kind of get started here. And if anybody that's looking at this via Zoom, if you need to if you have any questions, please let us know, as well as anybody sitting around the table here. Just a quick introduction. My name is Wesley Davis. I'm the Edinburgh County Property Appraiser. And I've been on the job now for about 3 years. And I was appointed by then Governor Rick Scott when the late David Nolte passed away in office. Met the time frame I got the government appointment. And then subsequently re-elected with no opposition for a 4-year term, of which I'm about 1 year into. We're on the presidential cycle, like the tax collector, property appraiser, we're all in that cycle in the election process. I'm going to start off with, if everybody would, you go ahead and pull up my website on your cell phone. And if you have a laptop, feel free to use that too. But this feature you're going to find really helpful in the field with your cell phone. And so if you go ahead and pull that up right there and kind of let me know whenever a good majority of people have right here. It's going to look kind of similar to that. One thing unique about this website, guys, that I want to say, whenever I first got elected, I really I knew we needed some improvement to the website, and started looking. And at the time, the websites that had the bells and whistles, if you will, that I like, they were all pretty much custom. And what that meant is you could do it, but you had to hire somebody to build it for you. And the more I looked into it, that was going north of $250,000 to $300,000 just to get somebody to do that. That's exactly what I said. So I kind of slowed down a little bit, and then finally came across this company that's Q Public, and they do websites for property appraisers throughout the nation. And I'm able to do this for about $35,000 a year. That's for the host, which is and it's got more bells and whistles than I'm hoping I hear a lot of oohs and ahs as I kind of go through this today, because it really has a lot of bells and whistles to it. So if you should have something. This, by the way, the website recognizes whether you're on a desktop, laptop, Android, iPhone, whatever it is, so that you no more of that squeezing anything in and out. So go ahead and if you have that right there, click on the property search button right over here. The three bars. It's going to be a little bit different, but you see the 3 bars in the upper right hand corner. If you would go ahead and click on those 3 bars. And then you should come across the function that says property search, or these 3 bars right above my head. And then see where it says property search, the 3rd one down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go ahead and click on property search.
Yep, I already did that.
And now in the blue line, I'm going to go ahead and get us here now. In the blue line, go ahead and agree, because the lawyer's got a hold of it. Had to do that, of course.
No, you're fine.
Okay, right here, either if you have the map function, go ahead and click on that. If not, you might have to go to the layers and select map. And then what'll come up is a picture of the county. Did you lose it? Okay.
You said on the 3rd one there?
No, under hit those 3 lines right there. And then click on property search. Anybody else? Everybody caught up? Okay.
How do you get the map from?
You might have to do the 3 pancakes over there if it's not already in the blue bar.
Oh, you went.
Okay, and that everybody should have one of these. Okay, and what you do is right below here, right in this spot right here where you see this little like target. If you go ahead and click on that, and then go allow. And what that did, that just geolocated you right where we're sitting. Everybody get that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now what you can do where you're sitting there is you take this little I button, go ahead and touch that on your cell phone right there. I prefer this is going to be a little bit different than it is on your mobile device. But now you can just go to anything. So we're sitting right here and you want to know who owns the property right across the street right there. There it is in blazing time. You can click on it sitting right in your vehicle with your phone, your iPad, or anything like that. You can find out, get a copy of the deed, how long ago it sold. Y'all see what I'm talking about?
That's cool.
That's the first doing all today. We're gonna need more of those. That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. Yep. You're sitting right there and then just hit that little blue right there and just tap it right there and it brings it up right there. And then you just hit the report and you can find out whatever you need about that piece of property. And it's just like using your, okay, all right. Okay, now what you want to do is you want to hit this button right here. And you want to just push OK and allow like that. And it just found you like that. And then now you can hit that little blue eye there. If you want to go to the right over here to the side, you click on that and blazing speed. And then there you have it. You can hit the report right there and pull up and push it up. Yeah, there's a property record card, the property right across the street with all the information right there at your fingertips. Thank you. Thank you. Now, I'm going to go back kind of to start this all over again. I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to the home site. Okay. Just a few things about the website. I'm going to just start right here. I don't, how many of you have actually seen where's our chat feature, Don?
I'm sorry, sir.
Where's our chat feature on our website?
On page.
Yeah. Am I overlooking something? No, there's a, no, y'all got me. Yeah. Let's see, let me go back. Darn, jot that down. I don't see it on there. Anyhow, right here, there used to be a little box right there that if you want to find out some information, it's manned during business hours. You can shoot us a text or an email on it. It's a simple function, and we'll figure out why that's not on there. I really don't know why, so my apologies on that.
On one.
What's that?
It's showing.
Is it?
Yeah, it's on here.
Okay. And everybody else on their laptop shows the it's a little box, like a little chat box of any kind. You just click on it and it comes up.
I got it.
Okay, well, it's there then. Maybe it's something with the service that maybe.
Now,
Oh,
let
yeah.
me ask you, it's similar to this.
No.
No.
It's like a green box.
Oh.
Yeah, and
So you
very
see on
well,
your mobile
very well
device.
maybe that because this isn't set up with an email. It makes it so that you can respond right back to it and that kind of stuff. And so anyhow,
I got your cell number.
there you go. There you go. I'll need time. Y'all figuring that out?
You got another room back here.
All right, another two. All right, I like that. And now, whenever I first got this, one thing that was driving me crazy, and it is with my eyesight, and the older I get, kind of thing, the size of the font specifically on the computer screen drove me nuts. I called the vendor. I said, "Hey, can you just make the font a bit bigger?" He said, "Let me get with my tech people and find out." He called me back. He said, "Unfortunately, you can't." Well, I was about ready to cancel it because it's driving me that bad. But guys, this is just a little bit of computer 101. If you hold the control button down and hit the plus button or the minus button on your keypad, it makes it bigger or smaller. That way you could, if you're ever on your computer, just hold that down. How many of you do that? All right, you younger guys, okay.
You got it.
All right, so that solved the problem about the size of the font for me. So now, let's see, on the very front page, guys, there's a couple things. Obviously, contact us. And this goes into a generic mailbox. That if it's about, if there's an error of some kind on a piece of property or on a property record card, we'll send it to the proper department to get that taken care of. Here is something very few people know about. What this is it's basically a fraud alert. And I can't take credit for this. I could just take credit for making it easier for you to find. I don't know if y'all remember the BASF commercials. For some reason, they stick out in my mind and said, we didn't invent the widget, we just made it better. Well, that's what I kind of feel like I've done here. I didn't invent this. I give credit to the clerk of the circuit court, Mr. Jeff Smith. And what you do is you click on that and it takes you to his website and on there. And what it does is you put in your name, your last name, you confirm that, put in your email address, and you confirm your email address. And then what happens if there's a document that gets recorded in the clerk's website, on the clerk's office, like a mortgage, or like you've heard about people doing a quick claim deed, trying to sell properties that they don't own and doing that, you'll be alerted. Your clients will be alerted. Anybody wants to know about something that gets recorded at the clerk's website, you'll be alerted by that. And it's interesting, I did this a long time ago, forgot all about it, took advantage of the low rates to refinance, of course, like everybody else should have if they didn't already. And sure enough, whenever Marine Bank recorded the note, bam, I got notified that somebody had recorded something with my name on it. And it was, it was a very, that's another moment. So, and we're just getting started.
Everyone that we click on, or can we just, is like we register?
Yeah, you just, all you can do is just, you can go do it from your mobile device, just type your first name in and confirm it and all that kind of stuff. I can do it right here. Yeah, and once, you can do it right now.
We just use your name to search for records.
Well, it uses your name to search whenever there's something, and then it uses your email address to notify you via email to something that's been recorded. Yeah.
I'll show you right.
So that's, and you know as well as I do, basically, all you have is your knowledge and your time. And so anytime you could use your knowledge to help your clients better themselves, be it in a real estate transaction, of course, or just in general, through this application, I think it's of note and very good for you to pass along to all your clients that may not be aware of that.
So where on the
Yeah.
website do you click on that? I missed it.
Okay, all right, we can go back.
Thank you.
Everybody in virtual land, see that? Right there. Let me make this a little bit smaller so you can, I love this feature. Y'all see how that works? So it's basically, you just go to the website and there's my email right there. There's the email box. It showed up. Nice work, John. Nice work. Right, okay, and then right here's the fraud alert. Just, it's directly opposite of my picture right there.
Okay, cool.
And there's the box for the chat, by the way. Now everybody can see it. My email, click. Yeah. Everybody good? Right, we're gonna move on then. Okay, the unique thing also for you about this, in the state of Florida, if you figure out how to use this website, there's 20 other counties in the state of Florida that have the same website. You can go to Alachua County, which is Gainesville. You can go to St. Johns County, which is St. Augustine. They have it. Flagler, some rural counties like Henry County over in LaBelle and Lewiston. You can go to that same. It's basically the same vendor. So if you can do much real estate work in the state of Florida, it's kind of confusing, kind of frustrating to a certain extent because being able to use the same feature that you're already familiarized yourself with, it makes you more efficient, if you will. So then, okay, let's go into, I'm going to go ahead and let's just take, I don't know. I like to do, let's go to a property search down here. And I'm going to go into, you could, if you want to schedule an appointment, you can, you don't have to. Apply online. This is our tangible personal property. And then, of course, the property search. But I'm going to start kind of down here with the professional tools. This is where we've got to kind of set some things aside for you. This is specifically the design. And one of my favorite, how many of you have seen some of these videos, the YouTube videos we've done?
None.
All right, well, these Pro Tools, we kind of ask some of the frequently asked questions, if you will. One of them is, why is my neighbor's taxes?
Hi, I'm a Monroe County property appraiser.
Just watch this real quick.
And I get asked one question a lot. Why are my neighbor's taxes lower than mine? And to help answer that, let's meet Carol and her sisters.
Meet Carol and her sister Cheryl and her other sister Meryl. They have similar taste in almost everything. So when Carol moved into a townhome in a lovely community of Mockingbird Shores, Cheryl and Meryl eventually joined her there. What the sisters don't share is the same property tax amount. And like many Floridians, they want to know why. The answer: save our homes and portability. Property taxes are based on the assessed value of a home. Carol, Cheryl, and Meryl's townhomes all have different assessed values, even though their market values are the same. Carol bought her townhome in 2006. A couple of years later, the financial crisis hit, and her home's value sunk to almost half of what she paid for it. Eventually, the values started to rise again and returned to pre-crisis numbers. Thanks to the Save Our Homes cap, Carol's assessed value increased by no more than 3% a year, even though the market value increased by double-digit rates. Cheryl bought her townhome in 2015 for about the same price that Carol paid. Cheryl had already owned a Florida homestead for several years before that, accumulating a significant amount in Save Our Home savings. Because Florida law allows portability, she transferred that savings to the new home. She started with a much higher market value than Carol, but after the ported savings were deducted, their assessed values were about the same. Then there's Merrill. Merrill also bought her home in 2015 for the same price as Cheryl. The same model, same year, same price, but she didn't have Save Our Home savings to transfer. So her taxes were based on a higher assessment than her sister's. Don't feel too bad for Merrill. She regularly takes both her sisters' money at the card table. And as long as she owns her homestead, she'll benefit from the Save Our Homes cap and portability. If she ever decides to move. But why would she do that?
So now you understand a little bit about Save Our Homes, portability, and homestead exemptions. And if you have any other questions, please stop by any of our offices and tell them what Wesley said.
So that's, those, and there, I want those up, once y'all look at them on your own time, they basically are some frequently asked questions that I try to, and so what I'm gonna kind of step into now, going back to the Pro Tours.
Can I ask
Yeah.
you a question? So the portability, if you own a home only in Indian River County, can you transfer that portability?
No.
Or say that people.
Statewide.
Statewide.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go into portability then. This
Oh,
is
just
Yeah, I've got a script, but listen, I can, if you have to leave, fine. If anybody has any questions, I've got all that. So let me go into what portability basically is. What portability is it is the difference between the assessed value and your market value. Okay? And we have those two. And the reason why we have that is because of Save Our Homes, I said there. And what happens is, if you have a homesteaded property in the state of Florida, the assessed value that you get taxed on can only go up by 3% with a consumer price index, whichever's less. Okay, so last year we didn't, and keep in mind, the tax bills that are out there right now, the one those go back to dollar figures as far as when we put values on them. They literally go back to January 1st of 2020. Y'all think about this. I'm going to help put it all in perspective for you. What happened January 1st of 2020? The real estate market was okay, 2-3%. It wasn't crazy. That was basically for the first quarter of the year. Y'all remember what happened in the second quarter of 2020? They shut the world down for 3 months. They literally, remember, canceling the fair, closing schools, all that kind of stuff. That was that was March of 2020. And those are what we're basing the figures on for your trend notices and your tax bills right now. So literally, those numbers are so if you look at the market value and say, wow, this is way off. Well, it's way back. Okay, because as you know from your real estate exam, taxes are paid in the arrears. Okay. So with that said, after the second quarter of 2020, people started saying, you know what, I don't think I want to live like this. Then word got out to the Northeast that our Burger Kings were open. That's whenever they started saying, okay, I've had enough of this stuff. I want to move to Florida. And the only question we asked is say, okay, just leave your politics where you came from.
Yeah.
So then we started seeing, saying, oh, wow, this is something. We're really starting to see the uptick in the real estate market in the third quarter of 2020. It didn't get insane. And anybody that was doing real estate, you'll remember this. It didn't get insane until November and December of 2020, the last 2 months of the year. So in effect, whenever my crew came to me and they told me, hey, this is what the values are for all the municipalities to set their millage rates on for their to set the tax rates for next year. I said 4.5%. I said it didn't make sense to me until they came back and explained what I just explained just a minute ago. And it made perfectly good sense because what I can't, unlike in a fee simple appraisal for a mortgage, you get 3 comps in a neighborhood that's 1 month old. By gosh, that's what you go with. I can't do that. I do what they call a mass appraisal, and I've got to take the ones that happened in January 2nd of 2020 and blend those in with the ones that happened December 31st of 2020 to come up with a fair assessment. Just because you bought your house in December, and paid a whole lot more than the person that bought it in January. I had to be fair. That's why and you all know that whenever you buy a property, only three things can happen. One, you could have paid market. Two, you could have paid too much. Or three, you could have got a good deal. That's pretty much it. It's my job to be fair and to whenever I put values on, and that's why we don't do the fee simple approach. It's called a mass appraisal. So and it's unique to property appraisers in all over the world, as a matter of fact, that they have the tax and assess real estate. Going back to it though, with it only going up by 3%, that change between the market value and the assessed value. As the market value goes up, that delta between those two is your Save Our Homes. So what happens in that, if you have a homestead in the state of Florida, and you have, let's just say you have $100,000 of deferred between the assessed value and the market value, you're able to port that with you to a new homesteaded property in the state of Florida, up to $500,000. That's the max. So if they've got $3 million worth of deferred because they have bought a house in 1980 in Johns Island, and now it's worth $7 million, then that they can only port up to 500,000 of that. Okay. Now with that said, notice I said up to 500,000. If you buy a property whose market value is the same or greater than the market value of the property they sold, then you can port 100% of it. If you buy one that is less, let's just say 50% less. So let's say you buy a $300,000 home that has a market value of 300, and the market value of the one that you moved out of was 150,000. Then you can only port half, and that gets applied up and down the scale. You understand what I'm talking about? Okay, so that's portability in a nutshell. And so right now, guys, everybody has until March 1st, right around the corner, less than 28 days, to be able to make sure that you reach. I encourage you to reach out to any of your clients that you still stay in contact with and tell them, hey, did you file your homestead? And then if they say no, say you have until March 1st. You can, yes, sir.
No, when you're done.
Okay, no, I don't have a train of thought, so you can't interrupt.
In years before, there used to be one link that as soon as you click on it, you can quickly apply for your homestead. I'm trying to find that link.
Yep, we're gonna do that. That's gonna be the next thing we do. So.
Great. I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes.
In regards to the portability, I have a buyer that sold in May here in Vero Beach, and she rented for 6 to 8 months, and now she just purchased her a home up in Brevard. Can she still use the portability, or?
She can, and this is it. First of all, she needs to establish her new homestead by January 1st of this year. Did she?
Yes.
Okay, then yes.
Yeah, well, she just closed January 28th.
That's after January 1st.
Okay, so she has to wait until next year?
Yes, she does. Okay, but the good news is you have up to, and this is important, up to 3 years. So your client now has up to 3 years to be able to use it. Now, let's describe this client the up to 3 year process. She bought, or she sold in May of last year.
Correct.
So she will have from May, June, July, August, September, October, November of last year, in December of last year. So basically 6 months. Then she's got 2 full more calendar years. She doesn't have 3 years. I didn't say 3 years. I said you have up to 3 years. So if she would have bought or sold, I'm sorry, on January 1st of last year, then she would be able to have basically the full calendar of 3 years to be able to utilize that to save her homes. The thoughts behind that were the portability. But the thought behind that was that they realized that if you're building your own property, trying to get it done in this market in these times and not getting it done in 3 years, a lot of people couldn't get it done in 3 years if they went out there and bought a piece of raw land, a ranch out of some kind, got it cleared, then started the permitting process, or if they were building it on their own, doing the owner builder, which is perfectly fine. They just didn't have time to do it. So if you'll remember back a year ago, it was on the constitutional ballot. It was a ballot amendment. And because the Save Our Homes was done not via the legislature, it was done through the constitutional amendment process. It had to be voted on by 60 and approved by 60% of the voters in order for you that to be even changed because of how it was implemented. Any other questions? Okay, if you wanted to know, let's go ahead. If you have any questions about anything, guys, please ask. That's what I'm here for. Okay, let's do this then. Let's show your. I'm going to show you how to show your clients how to do the homestead application online. You what I like to do is find the property. So I don't know. Give me an address. Anybody got an address?
944th.
940. Now check this out. See right here, and I prefer to use that address right there. And then just because it narrows all of them down, and there it is, 944th Lane.
Yeah.
Right down here at the bottom.
That would be the one, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, all you got to do is scroll down to the bottom. Once you pull that property up, okay, and then at the very bottom, it's going to say apply for the homestead exemption.
Oh, wow.
Okay, you click on that, and what that does is it brings up the Department of Revenue information form. It self-populates for you all the things that we already have. We don't need your address. We already have it. We don't need your name. We already have it. And we don't need that long parcel ID that you're going to get wrong 3 times before you type it in correctly. We already have that. And then, but what we don't know is, are you going to apply for the homestead? What we don't know is it going to be a primary residence. Yeah, you just keep going down through here. And then we do know all this information. We don't know.
This is Brandon.
Yeah. So, and then we don't know your social security. Oh, and it gets even better. We don't know whether you're widowed, divorced, married, single. The reason for the widowed is because there's an exemption. We'll make sure you get for that, for the widower exemption. And then, of course, if you are married, we need to know that too, so we can get your spouse on there with you. All that information that we basically have, we get, and then then I mean, I don't. It's how do I say this? We try to make it as simple as possible. And my dad used to say it's about as easy as about pouring water out of a boot with the instructions written on the heel. Yes, ma'am.
What about the physicalities of like registering? So let's say we get a lot of out-of-state buyers.
Mhm.
So registering them to vote, their driver's license,
Yeah.
you know, all that. How does that work with the online?
That's a very good point. Now, what we will typically do is, as we go through here, driver's license and all that kind of stuff, we're going to ask for stuff that proves that you are a Florida resident. This is your primary residence, and we are looking for things that establish that.
So is there a list of, before you are able to homestead, these are the things we require?
You can go ahead and do a right click on this and print this whole form. And then that way you'll see what we're after. Here is the driver's license. Here is the vehicle registration, your tag number. And what happens, guys, typically is people, when they move into Florida and buy the home, then they're going to go and come in here. And by law, I think you have only 10 days to change your driver's license around, according to that. And so then while you're down there, you.
Florida state law?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, even if you move, you only have 10 days, I'm pretty sure. Yep. But what that does is we're going to ask you for your Florida driver's license, because you're going to be right across the hall, get your driver's license. You can register to vote when you do that, and you get all that information. You come across and fill out the application. If you don't want to do it online, go right across from the tax collector's office to the property appraiser's office, show us that hot, fresh, smoking, brand new driver's license, and where you get your tags and all that kind of stuff. We're now going to that new property that you just made a really nice commission off selling them, and everything. Yes, ma'am.
But also, don't you need to wait for the title company to send you your deed, and then what?
Yeah, which is that's not the end. Sometimes if it's really new and you've got an eager beaver ready to get this stuff knocked out, then it'll have the wrong name up there. It won't say Brandon. It'll still be the former owner. But guess what you can do? You can type right over the top of that and then still move that. So I can change that name to. It's not going to change the deed, but if it's not Brandon and it's Brandon Smith, you type that right in there and submit it.
But then couldn't anybody do that?
Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is like, wouldn't that be easy for somebody to falsify?
Well, we have to have a deed attached to it, and that's whenever we don't, this does not automatically give you homestead. We review every one of them to prove that you're not lying to us.
Okay, look.
Yeah, and so to answer your question, yes, if somebody stole Brandon's identity, yes, he could go in there and apply for homestead. I guess the penalty for that is your children will be born naked. I don't know. So, okay. All right. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
I was just noticing on this, that on page 3, it does have the exemption for the handicap.
Yes. Yeah. There's a bunch of information. You just go further down.
You have to go further
Yeah.
down.
And then also, guys, listen. This is important. There is another application here that once this is just your homestead. If you are eligible for portability, that's when you need to come back over here and apply for portability. Okay, so we don't know that you had a home, that you had homestead in the state of Florida anywhere unless you tell us. Once you tell us, then we'll call up the property appraiser's office over there and confirm that and move that portability over to you if you for the maximum that you're allowed to have. And if you're not married right now, and both of y'all had a homestead, and you get married, then both of you have portability, we give you the one that has the most amount of portability for your situation.
Can you show where the portability is?
Yeah. The we pulled up Brandon's house. Go down to the bottom.
Brandon Smith.
Yep.
Actually Brittany's house. but-
Brittany's house, there you go.
Brandon's allowed to live there.
Okay, all right. All right, and then the online portability is right there. Does that answer your question?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Does it show if the home's already homesteaded?
Yes. The easy way of knowing that is that you go right here and you see right there where that Y is right there next to that homestead.
Gotcha.
Again, we try to make as simple as we possibly can with as much information that will blow your mind. Yes, ma'am.
So the Reed's homestead, yes, and you just purchased it, then you can scroll down to see whose name is homesteaded under.
Correct. Let's look at this. Right here, the trim notice is extremely important. The trim notice, guys, it's where we mail that out. And you know where it says do not pay or this is not a bill? It does not say do not read. Read it, please. Okay, that's very important. And the reason for that is because you want to make sure that you have every exemption that you're entitled to. And it's also the time that if you miss the deadline by March 1st to file for a homestead, or I am very as lenient as I possibly can via the statutes, but that I have to abide by. And if you say, hey, I'm a resident, here's everything I did, everything except what I needed to do to get my homestead. I'm registered to vote. I bought all my tags and license to go there. Here's a utility bill says that I was paid on December 31st. But so I was living there January 1st. I'm gonna say, you know what? Hey, you're entitled to this. I'm not gonna be a bad guy here. I just have, pay attention to that trim notice, because once that trim notice is done and it goes over to the municipalities and they set their budgets, then in effect, what I've got to do, because you missed your homestead, I've got to go back and ask them, hey, school board, I need $1.32 back from you. I can't do that. But you see how problematic that becomes if you miss that trim notice period. Okay. So now, now let's look at this trim right here. Here and we're going to pull up the 2021, and all this is right there underneath the property record card, guys. This is not rocket gynecology or anything. It's right there in front of you. Right here, what you have right here tells you that this was homesteaded. When did you buy the house? When did y'all buy the house? December 17th. Okay, so they're in there. All right, now pay attention to this. Remember, this is 2020. The person that was in there, they got the widower's discount. This does not reflect Brandon's. He's not widowed. What I'm driving home to you here is explain to your clients that the tax bill that they're enjoying for the last 15 days of December is not his, it's the former owner's. Expect the value to go closer to what you paid for it for the assessment. This right here had $8,000 worth of portability. Okay, so first of all, that's all going to go away. And here's the difference between the market value and the market value and the assessed value right here, guys. Okay, and that's the $8,000 difference right here. I guarantee you, he did not buy a home in December in Indian River County for $164,000. It's going to go closer to what you paid for it, of which, and then of course, then it goes through, and this is the millage rates that they apply to your values, tells your bottom line taxes out the door and all that kind of stuff. You do have to add the non-ad valorem assessments. This will get you, especially if you're in the city of Vero Beach and they start doing a stormwater fee or something like that. These non-ad valorem assessments are fees that you pay based on anything that has something that has nothing to do with value. What are they? The landfill. Everybody uses the landfill. How do they put value on that? They have what they call a waste generation unit. And that means basically every household generates this. If you're a commercial property, they say, well, okay, you're a restaurant, the amount of waste that you generate is a house times 5 or times 6 or whatever it is. So they have that unit, and so they have that for industrial and all that kind of stuff. But these are basically the non-ad valorem assessments that have nothing to do with value. This I put out by statute. Yes, got a question? This I put out by statute. It has the important dates and times. It has when the Indian River County Emergency Services District, when they meet by statute, they've got to meet after 5 o'clock. And there's the spot they do it. There's 3 different funds. School boards, they can't have them on the same day. They can't make it to where every municipality, City of Vero Beach, Indian River County, school board, and mosquito control all meet at the same time. Why? Because you can't get there to let your voice be heard. All that information is on this trend notice. If this is another really easy thing, guys, how many times have you ever wondered, is a house inside the city limits or not? Okay, this is very easy to right here. If it's inside the city limits, go to the trend notice. Trouble moving that around. And right here underneath the school board, right above the water management district, it will say municipality. It'll say City of Vero Beach, City of Ellesmere, whatever. It's right there on the trend notice. And why is that? Because whenever I assess values for the City of Vero Beach, I need to know how much that rate's going to be. And then I send once I assess it, then I put all that data together, give it to the tax collector. Tax collector generates the tax notices. My job's done. I start all over again. It's like Groundhog Day.
You should the tax estimator?
Yes, I'm fixing to thank you. I appreciate it. Anything like that, if you think let me know. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you mentioned city limits.
Yes.
So as a realtor, I noticed like, if you do a search and you put in the city, Vero Beach,
Mhm.
it excludes a lot of Vero Beach.
Yes.
So how does that work?
Well, because I live on my post office address, it says Vero Beach, 32967. I don't live in the city of Vero Beach. So that basically, there are boundaries, like, as you can imagine, and this is another thing. Let's see, how's going to be the easiest way?
So 32967, you'd live in Gifford?
Winter Beach, Vero Lake Estates, where I live out west of Quail Valley's Golf Club.
But aren't those just subdivisions or, I mean?
It's called unincorporated Indian River County.
Yeah, okay.
Like South County.
Yes, it's 32962.
So if you look, there's a map you can pull up.
I'm going to do that. Yeah,
Okay.
yep. That's why I wanted you to hold. Let me do this real quick before we get too far off taxes. Any questions about the trend notice for your clients?
We have another question.
Yes, ma'am.
You said it rather quickly, but over there in that area, you said to see whether it's in the city of Vero Beach.
Yes.
Right above the,
Yeah, I didn't
can you finish that sentence? Because we don't
It's
see
under-
it.
Yeah, no, that's because Brenda doesn't live in the city. But let me do this for you. Let me do this. Let me go to this function of the map. And right here, because we are in the city limits, I'm pretty sure I'm going to find myself on this real quick. I'm going to hit my little identify button and let's go to this. I think we're in the city limits. Yeah, we are. It goes to 43rd. All right, so right over here. So what I want to do now is I'm just going to see how fast I just found me in that. Goes super cool. And then we're going to now go down to the trim notice. I'm pretty sure we're in the city limits here, and the trim notice right there. And just going to pull it up. And we're not in this. We're not in the city. I got to go. Okay, hold on one second. Give me. Let's see. Let's do.
1860 Cobia.
Give it to me again.
1860 Cobia.
11860
Cobia Drive.
Cobia Drive. And did y'all notice that in record speed? And you don't have to click. I got a philosophy in the office. I don't want to touch anything twice. So if I pull something up, notice you don't have to click on that and then hit the search button. I want to blaze this game. If anything slows down, it's because you left my website. Okay, so here we are with this. Go down now to the trim notice. And here we go with this, and see the municipality right there?
Oh, yeah.
If it's in Fellsmere, anything like that, now, there is another way that you can do this. Before I leave this goes back to somebody had a question about the map. And we're gonna click back on that map right here. And then we're gonna go into layers just real quick on this and see where it says municipal boundaries right here. We're gonna click on that and we're gonna, we got it checked right there. And then when you zoom out, see right there, that's Indian River County right there. This is all here, City of Vero Beach. I'm gonna go out just a little bit further. We've got all that delineated right there as far as where are the city limits. That is the city limits of Vero Beach with the layers on the map and record speed. How many of you remember that little wheel you used to have to watch on this thing?
You have come a long way, baby.
Well, thank you, thank you. And coming from somebody that was in the real estate business through the rotten years, by gosh, that's a big compliment. Thank you. Okay, so that kind of a little bit about that, but let's go back now to the to the home page right here and back to the Pro Tools. And we're going to click on this right here under the Pro Tools, and we're going to go down to, and I have this kind of tucked away because, well, it was pretty much evenly split about those that like the feature and those that don't like the feature. And that feature would be Property Tax Estimator right here, the calculator. All right. So y'all see where I clicked on that? Okay. So we're going to click on that. So we're going to, let's suppose that we have a house. We're just going to do North County near the Sebastian Inlet, Roseland area. And so let's say that you buy a house that is going to be $350,000. Okay, you just enter that in. And then let's say that you want to homestead it or not. All it's going to do is knock 50 grand off of it. You want, okay, we'll do that. We're going to homestead that property. Okay, and then we're going to go, let's not have any affordability. We're going to just do 0. Okay, and then we're going to figure out, okay, like everybody really wants to know, how much of my tax is going to be. Now I'm going to tell you everybody this. This is heavy. It's about, and you know this from being in the business, about 2%. And that's normally a little bit heavy, but I think everybody in here been selling real estate, you know you've lost a deal because of how much taxes are.
Yes, yes.
But at the same time, let me tell you, if you're not honest with that person, then that's when that little old lady's in there crying at my office saying, my gosh, if I'd known taxes were going to be this much, I wouldn't have bought this.
Yeah.
You're better off losing a sale than you are having an unhappy client. So this is a little bit heavy. Now, but let's go ahead and let's hit the compute button, and there it is in blazing speed, $4,500. Okay. And again, that's about 2% when you back that out and all that, it's 1.9. And again, you can tell your clients this is heavy. But now what I like to do too is let's take this, and don't be confused by this, because this information right here is on the property record card. And what this does is it tells you exactly what municipality, exactly what part of the county, because if you're in, for example, if you're in the north end of the county, you have the Sebastian Inlet Drainage District you got to pay into.
So it varies.
It does, yes. And to drive this point home, this is going to be another ooh-ah moment. Y'all watch this. If you're inside the city of Sebastian now, not just Indian River County, you remember where it was $4,500? Remember that right there? Inside the city of Sebastian, that same home costs now $5,000 and change. No, that's because of the city's millage rate is added to that. For the city police, city hall, city council, city everything. Now,
We have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
What constitutes the senior exemption?
the senior exemption, low income senior, is you have to have a total income of, it varies, it goes up a little bit, but it's for low income senior is about $30,000 total. I mean, you really gotta be broke. I mean, you imagine living in this county on $30,000 as a household combined income. That's why it's given, okay? And so you have to apply for it every year. All right, so right here then, we just moved into the city of Sebastian with it. Now, let's move into the city of Vero Beach. Let's just take that one, and it goes from 5,000. Now, why is that? Picture this. The city of Vero Beach has higher value properties. So of course, to raise the same amount of revenue, they can have a lower millage rate. Now, the highest municipality in Indian River County would be Fellsmere, because of that values out there. They're not as strong. So their millage rate is the highest. And so watch this same $300,000 home, $350,000 home with the homestead in Fellsmere with their millage rate is
Why is
Wow.
that?
because of the millage rate.
No, wait, but,
So the
I mean, those are
millage rate-
probably except for the houses on acreage, those are probably like the most modestly priced houses.
That's why is
And those
they
people are being,
still have a city manager, a police department and all that. And they've got to run that out there. And because those modestly priced houses, they have to have the values that I put on them are modest, of course. And in order to be able to fund those municipal services, they need a higher millage rate, which it gets you the assessment times the millage rate equals a dollar amount that you pay in taxes.
I mean, one of my biggest, when people are looking to find a house either in Port St. Lucie or St. Lucie County versus Indian River County, one of my biggest selling points is the fact that our taxes are so much lower.
They
than-
are. Yes, ma'am. That's exactly right. And it might be one of those things, just because they're getting a good deal in Fellsmere, you might be able to say, listen, let me show you what your taxes are going to be on an annual basis in Fellsmere inside the city limits. It might be cheaper for you to move to Sebastian Highlands,
Mhm.
even though you might pay a little bit more for the house.
It's a wash.
It could be, yes. That's why I have this on here. Now get this, guys, it gets even better. Let's take now and let's go to Indian River Shores. All right.
And this is based on the sales price, not the assessed value. when
Well,
you say
what you've got
2%.
to assume that basically the market value, the assessed value, when somebody buys is going to be closer to what they paid for it. So that's why we ask you, what you pay for it, kind of thing. And again, this is going to be on the hard end. This is going to be on the high end. So, but look at this, Indian River Shores, instead of it, yes, that's right. Say that louder.
It's lower because the value of the home.
Bam.
is higher.
Why? Because they got multi-million-dollar properties in there. There's no multi-million-dollar properties in Fellsmere. Okay? And therefore they have the lowest millage rate in the county. But where are you going to find someplace to live in Indian River Shores for $300,000?
Right.
The butler, in the spare bedroom. So that just kind of drives the importance of the millage rates whenever, for a lot of people.
So our millage rate is about 2%, generally speaking.
No, it's not a millage rate. It's the taxes. On the strong side, it's about 2%.
So what's the difference then between a millage rate and
The millage rate is what the school board comes up with,
got it.
what the county comes up with, what the cities come up with, what the hospital district, all those entities that are on that trend notice, they establish a millage rate. They marry that millage rate to the assessed values that I put on properties. I've got one job and one job only, and that's to put a value on every piece of property in Indian River County and do it fairly.
So let's say I'm showing prop, am I asking too many questions?
No,
People
no, I don't think
No, I
so.
try not to
Yeah.
attend. I know I've got a lot, my brain just goes off. So I'm showing properties. Bring up my little smartphone.
Yep.
Can I go online here and look it up? Okay, they ask often, how much are my taxes gonna be? Let's find out. So I base it on the price, just like you did. Put in the county, the municipality.
Yeah, and let me show you where to get that. This right here, guys, is a lot of information, and I may try to clean that up a little bit. And for example, you see how you have 3 different ones for Sebastian? Well, that's because they had 3 different ones inside the CRA. I won't bore you with that, but anyhow, they're just basically, some of them are inside the Sebastian River Improvement District, some are not, some are inside the city limits, some are in unincorporated counties. It is what it is. But let me
But would it auto-populate just based on the address?
One of the things that I have said before we had all this fancy technology is that I would always say it's 2% of the sales price. They would come back. I know that it's usually about, if they homesteaded, it's about 1.85.
exactly, very good. Yeah.
And that's what I've told them before we had all computers like this.
And it is. But and let me show you where you can find this information now that you know. Let me do.
Would it auto-populate based on the address?
Don,
Was that, sorry?
I don't know yet if it will. Yet I can do it though.
Oh, it's very.
I mean, that would be very fancy
I'm telling you.
to an already very fancy.
But that's what I love so much about this thing. And I'm going to go into where eventually I want this this thing to be. Let's do 825 or whatever, 10th Avenue, and this is where we'll get that information. I'm going to click on this right here where it says tax district. That is 7W Oslo Park, yada, yada, yada. That is one of the many lines in that drop-down box.
So you have
Yeah,
to go to this field first and then.
but I'm gonna fix that. Because what I can do is I can tell it already read this right here, and
I tell them.
that's it. Yeah.
Well, why don't we just try it and see if you're already doing that? Or do you think that it won't auto-populate?
You have to go, right now you have to go to the,
Because it's not on there.
To the calculator.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be hard to do at all. I should be able to. And all you do is I can make that this is how it's gonna look. This will be a hyperlink right here. And then it'll go straight to the calculator. Once you click on that, and then you put in the purchase price of what it's gonna be, because that's the only thing we wouldn't know.
That'd be awesome.
Oh, yeah, no, we're gonna have that. Oh, yeah.
Wesley, before I
That
forget,
would be awesome.
is there a reason why the portability is not on the homestead application? Like, why are they two separate links?
That because of government, and I'm trying to fix that. In fact, it actually is somewhat problematic, because we'll actually have people fill out the portability that don't fill out the homestead. And you can't have portability without a homestead.
Right.
So what I'm trying to do, two different forms by the Department of Revenue, but ultimately what I'd like to do is literally take the homestead application, and then without you even knowing it, put the portability right in after that. That way, if you just go ahead, it would just make for a longer application, but both of them would be seamless without having to click on one. And so we're trying to figure out how to do that with the Department of Revenue, making sure that they don't need to be two totally applications.
Yeah, because I think that people, I can tell you 20 years ago when I moved into my house, when I moved from St. Lucie County, I don't believe I did portability.
They probably didn't have it back then. It's relatively new.
I was gonna say that's
Oh,
new.
okay.
Yeah, yes, sir.
Speaking of St. Lucie County, I always found it odd how St. Lucie typically ranks in the top 2 in the entire state of Florida for millage rates, yet Indian River County is like easily 50 to 55 out of the 60 some odd counties that the state of Florida has. And I always said it was an easy sell if someone's looking in Fort Pierce and they're also looking in Vero. I'm like, well, let's just automatically cut it from the top there. Let's just go to Vera.
Yep.
Because of that little benefit. Now, of course, Fort Pierce is a little bit more affordable in homes, but cheaper. And
You nailed it. You have, and you know, there's reasons for that. Indian River County didn't go out there and do the I don't know, $50 million digital domain project that went under. The city place in Port St. Lucie that went under. You know, all that debt had to be paid by somebody, and the only way they could do it was raising the millage rate. And they just made some, well, what turned out to be not good decisions back during the last year.
yeah.
So, but yes, I like the address of auto-populating that right there.
Yay.
Yep, I don't know exactly how I'll do it, but it'll be probably a hyperlink. Oh, hey, this is kind of cool, guys. I get excited about this. I appreciate y'all having me do this. So how many of you have ever sold a property that was owned by an LLC or something like that? Okay, well, you know, whenever you do that, whenever you do that, you need to be able to find out who the owner is. You know it's the LLC. That's not a problem. But this LLC on this one right here, you got to have somebody that actually signs it. How many of you saw this feature right here?
Oh, yeah. That's good stuff.
Wow.
That's good
That's
stuff.
cool.
There it is, guys.
That's been working so hard.
That way you don't have to cut and paste and open up a new window and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
I will say kudos to all of the links. They are, if you just go here, it's extremely simple. I'm still
Thank you.
old school. I would have probably gotten out of there and gone into
That's
something
exactly what I
and
did.
take 15 extra steps. Yeah.
But I was in the auction real estate appraisal business, and so I'm where you are. I was where you, and it used to drive me crazy. Because there's so much information out there. It drove me crazy. I mean, before I got there, you couldn't get a copy of the deed from the hyperlink. Y'all know where that is.
Would you mind repeating those steps so that?
Yeah, what you want to know?
Just
Is
go
there
back
any-
so we know how to do that.
Sure.
Wesley,
Yes.
Is there any place that, shows that we don't have any CDDs in any of them.
We do not have CDDs in New York County.
I understand that. Is there anywhere that shows documentation? I mean, somebody asked me, well, how can you prove that? And I go, well, I just know.
Well, and that's true. They tried one, okay, this is what I suggest you do. You know, I want to say in St. Lucie County, right on 27th Avenue, right south of the ball fields there before you get to Rio Road.
Yeah.
Right, at Waterstone Community.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, all right. If you go to St. Lucie County's, I'm sure property appraiser,
Right.
the Michelle Franklin, on that trim notice, you will see a CDD on that tax bill.
Okay, so do a comparison. of-
Yeah, and say, listen,
Something else.
if it has a CDD, you can go to the trim and the trim would say it right there. Or you, or it might, you might go to Chris Kraft, who's the tax collector in St. Lucie County. One of those two would have the document on
Right.
there. I bet you Michelle would have it on there though.
Okay.
Another
But,
one who has a CDD is Portofino Shores.
okay,
So that's
Okay.
one that most of us frequently show.
Yeah, yeah.
So they have a CDD
and you can go,
and it's built into the taxes.
yeah, so it's either on the tax bill or it's on the trim notice. I don't know which.
How about metal? But, you know, as a
No, that's
conversation.
not in Bureau.
Check.
Yeah, metal with the, yeah.
Them to also-
I don't know. I really don't, because Inver County's never done one. I was a commissioner for 12 years and I did philosophically agree with the developer pushing that off on future residents.
Yeah,
So-
and all of Traditions is a CDD.
Ma'am?
All of Traditions.
Oh,
is a
yeah,
CDD.
yeah, St. Lucie County's not afraid of them.
Just
So
like
the
Vera.
Except
CDD
for
is the
one of the
developer.
subdivisions.
Yeah, what a CDD stands for is a community development district.
Thank you.
And then, so I'm probably sorry about that, yeah. And then, so what it is basically, instead of the developer paying for the infrastructure to build the subdivision, the developer will bond that out and get bonds that then pay an interest rate on those bonds and then divide that over a certain number of years over the future residents, and it will be just basically another line item of like $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 a year annually that they pay in addition to their regular taxes.
Right. That's what they're gonna be doing, on Indrio in 95.
Probably,
That's what I was told.
yeah.
Wow.
St. Lucie County's not afraid of them. But they just, we just don't have and one day it might happen in Vera. I mean, in fact, I would say probably it's gonna happen in Fellsmere, because they've got so much undeveloped land out there, and that's how things get done.
So now when we drive down 20th to say Yeehaw Junction and Turnpike.
Mhm.
So Vero Beach goes all the way out.
Indian
just
River
before-
County does.
So what is it then? It's not Vero Beach?
No, the picture, the city of Vero Beach, the city of Sebastian, every one of those have boundaries. Okay, and those municipal boundaries, once you get outside of that line, you don't, when you dial 911, they send you the Inver County Sheriff's Deputy. They don't send you a city of Vero Beach Police Department.
But the address is always read Vero Beach.
Well, that's for postal reasons. That's because they gotta send it somewhere.
But if they put, like, I live in Winter Beach, if somebody put Winter Beach, I'll get it the same.
Because of zip code.
Exactly. And so the worst confusion about that I've seen is actually up in Roseland, where they have you can have a Roseland, or it says Sebastian with the zip code that's not, that's 32958. And I can solve that problem if anybody's having one, but I don't want to go into it. It's a lecture for a whole different day.
I have a quick question.
Yes, ma'am.
Probably everyone in the room knows except me, but I'm gonna ask it anyway. So when we're looking on, and picking out the legal description, and then sometimes it'll say on there, like, you know, this is an abbreviation, look at the meets and bounds.
Yes.
So I go on there and I click on the meets and bounds, but I don't think that that's the right spot for me to be clicking. Do I need to be opening like the property card, or where's the best place to find the true?
Yeah, let me, guys, I don't know which one it is underneath this.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah.
move the other one.
Hey, somebody asked a question there with the chat.
Yeah,
You wanna-
that's the one that we asked.
Okay, okay. All right. I can figure that out.
I don't know how.
That's fine down there at the bottom. Yeah, no. Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna, we had several different questions here. Somebody wanted me to go back through that again and do the LLC?
Yeah.
All right, so basically you just type in, and guys, listen, on this website, less is more, okay? So for example, me, if I'm doing a property record search right here, I prefer the address, 701. That's me right there. That's my acreage for my farm. And my house where I have homestead and all that kind of stuff, I just typed in 7,001 and then clicked on it and go. So less is more. But let's go back now, back to the real, I'm gonna just do an LLC. Okay, you're gonna type in, you can type in, I don't know, pick one, the 19th, this LLC, okay? And it brings up the property record card right there. By the way, that's all the LLC has multiple properties, so it pulls them all up for you. But you're interested in this one at 19th place, that one right there, okay? And then you have the owner's name. And then you just go underneath that little hyperlink that already has that, it links that right there with SunBiz. The instant you touch it and brings it up right there, you confirm that's the same one. And then you just click on that, and that gives you the person that you need Frederick J. Pomelli to sign that purchase and sale contract, or sign that listing agreement, because he's the one that can. And
Does
of
it
course,
also give you like telephone or contact info or anything?
no, and that's because this is from the state. Well, no, I mean, you can find it. You Google it. I mean, I've back whenever I was finding out who was losing property back during the Great Recession, and the banks and all that. I mean, all you gotta do is keep digging. You can find a lot of information out there. What else?
I have a
Y'all know about the deed. Y'all right here's where you download a copy of the deed. No? Oh, so basically this is a sale. This guy, Frederick, he bought this back in May 14th for $100,000 from VB Apartments. You click that, see how slow that is? It's because you left my website. Right here, this right here is the clerks. This is the clerks, and then this gives you a copy of the deed with the parcels and all that kind of stuff on it.
I'm brand new.
No, good for you. Good for you.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, back to Texas.
Huh?
Okay, so you purchased a house, say for 350.
Hmm.
And you put a pool, screen enclosure.
Hmm.
That has to be permitted.
Hmm.
So obviously you guys are aware of it. Now does your property assessed value go up?
Yes.
That whatever you spent on
No.
that pool?
No. And look, the best way I could drive this home to make a point about it is everybody knows that a home that has a pool is more likely to sell for a higher price than the comparable home that doesn't have a pool. Okay. Yes, also you'll realize that right now a pool could be $75,000, $80,000 in a hurry. Yeah, exactly. I've been out of the business for 2 years, 3 years, but it doesn't add $75,000, $80,000 worth of value. So that's why we look at what we do know that they're going to sell for higher prices, but not what it costs to do it. But the only thing you really may get your money back out of for the cost to do it is a bathroom or a kitchen. You know, those kind of renovations, they're money well spent for the most part, as far as adding value to a home. Pool it, then let the new buyer do that. But
But
anyhow, yes,
you
ma'am.
do get assessed at a higher value.
Sure, yeah, you've added value.
Yeah, right, but like, is there,
She's asking if an appraiser is gonna come back out.
Yes, oh, yeah, we'll go out there and look at it and add it to the tax rolls. And see, that's where I would like for this website to wind up with some more bells and whistles. And I've been trying to schedule things with COVID and all that kind of crap, and the holidays, it's been tough to do. Pick a community like the Antilles. Y'all familiar with that in Winter Beach?
yes,
Okay, in the Antilles, you have several different builders. You've got the ones that started it and D.R. Horton. Do you know which houses are more valuable in there?
yes.
Okay. We have in here the permits, the permit right here. Okay, did an addition, but also if they added a pool, it's there. Why is that? One, they want to inspect and make sure that you don't have somebody get sucked into, electrocuted and all that for health and safety reasons. But the other one honestly is because the government is going to find out that revenue and put it on the tax rolls for it to be assessed. And that's when, and so once they get their CO on their pool, we get that permit. I send my guys out in the field, they look at it, they add the pool to it, they get the dimensions of the pool and all that. And so we know that a pool home in the Antilles, and a pool home and a home in the Antilles without a pool is going to sell for this. We'll just add the pool to it. But the way we add the pool to it is we say, okay, this one sold for 30, 40, 30, 70, 50, 30, something. And we'll say, okay, this pool was this. We'll blend all those together, come up with a unit, total square footage of the pool. Boom. And every one of them. So if you have a 500 square foot pool, well, that's not a bad example, but you understand what I'm saying. Wouldn't you do it on a square foot basis of some kind and put that on there as the additional value for every one of those properties in there that have the pool?
But there's no way for us laymen to figure out, like, it's just random, whatever you guys calculate.
No, well, y'all should be able to do this. Think about it. If you're selling a house in Sebastian Highlands at this price, and it has a pool, with or without a pool, you know that you should be able to come up with something that's relatively makes sense as far as the market value between one that doesn't have a pool and one that does. And if it's $30,000, if that same house right next door had a pool and it sells for $30,000 more, then you can say, okay, in all likelihood, if you had a $100,000 pool, that your assessed value is going to go up by 30 grand.
Got it.
But that's based on your knowledge, not something that we just, kind of thing. Oh, on this, let's go back to me, for example.
I have a question on permits.
Go ahead. Yes, sir.
All right, does it pull the most present permits, or like if I had a roof done, is it going to show that permit of the roof done, or just a pool or an addition?
Let me pull me up and let me go down to my my old house that was built back in 1946 by my grandfather right after World War II. And my wife wishes it burned down because it doesn't have any closet space or anything like that, but it's where I was raised, so she tolerates me. Okay, so let's take this. Here's the permits that you're talking about. Right here, this is I have a gazebo, the house, and you can see the date back in 2009, back when roofs were cheap. This is the permits, and they're not active. What I'd like to do with this now, make this to where I have a hyperlink here, because there's some people that build a good pool, some people build a bad pool. Some people know how to put a roof on, some people don't. Some people install the septic system you might not like or whatever like that.
Yeah.
I've got a permit number, I've got a date, I've got a value. There's no reason why I can't have a hyperlink here to where you can find out whether a home in Tilly's is built by D.R. Horton or the original development.
Right.
Now, there's another moving on.
Yeah.
Yes. And I want to be able to do that with like, you may know Amaron Homes, the Brognanos built a good quality product. I feel very comfortable buying one. Some of these national builders, y'all heard of the horrors that's going on down there at Magnolia Plantation by D.R. Horton. If you haven't, they get a CO and they're just having to fight to get something fixed on their house.
Orchard Park.
That's it. Thank you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Tremendous. Oh
Yeah,
my God,
that's-
nightmare.
So it would be one of those where if you had a client going in there, you'd say, listen, let's find out who you're really interested in this. Let's find out who built this. All right, you need to, y'all know this too. I have certain home inspectors that I recommend if I'm selling or buying.
But what D.R. Horton's doing now is they're somehow allowed to have their own subcontracted inspectors.
Yes.
And whatever
Yes.
that inspector says,
Yep.
the county abides
Yep.
by.
Yep.
And that's the problem,
Yep.
because they're having problems with water issues
Oh, I've
and
got friends that live in there.
houses sinking
Yeah.
and.
No, and what it is it's about like an engineer or whatever. It's that person that's doing that work. It's their credentials that are on the line, and they're responsible and all that. And God, and it just you could not. And what's going on out there, as crazy as things are, you couldn't fit the number of staff inside that county administration building to be able to keep up with the permitting and closing them out. And you'd have people pulling their hair out, trying to move in and all that kind of stuff. So that's something. And when it slows down, then you got and it will slow down. We know it. Then you've got a whole, building department full of people that are fixing to get fired. And so, just to kind of take the highs and the lows and get through. That's why they allow the builders to hire their own.
And that's why.
But doesn't the buck stop with you guys? I mean, at the end of the day, you guys are allowing that to be considered approved.
It would not be me, but it would be the building department.
Not you, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but the government, yes, it does, yes. Yep.
But that's why you
Wes.
recommend to your buyers who are building new, why don't you go ahead and have a third party
Call
inspector come out and inspect
Yeah.
everything, and that way it's unbiased.
Biased, and there you got your punch list and you
And
don't
then
sign your own
you're
clothes.
covered too, from,
Yeah.
hey, I recommended that you do that, it's your choice if you want to.
Best money you ever spent, and y'all know who the sticklers are for home inspectors, and that's the ones that short list would be the ones, if I'm buying, this is who I'm using.
Mhm,
And if I'm selling,
mhm,
y'all know what I'm talking about,
mhm.
so.
So you're saying that every permit is now on the.
Yeah.
Should be, yes. Give me an address. Yes, sir.
How soon is it recorded? Like,
Mine's not- I have a
Yeah.
permit, that I just finished the roof. It's not on there. That's why I asked that.
All right, did you get your final inspection?
Yep, everything's done. It's finalized in when you go to open permits, it's showing that it's finalized.
Okay.
AC is finalized, but none of that's in.
Okay, and now that's probably more procedurally. Expect that.
Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure. Good to see y'all. I know. So, what I did here is I pulled up Crystal Falls. Now, I think, yeah, okay, there's 75 properties in Crystal Falls. Y'all remember how I did this, the subdivision search. Now, let's suppose that you need something that other than just labels, and this is particularly where the architectural review person came in and needed it. It's I'll just scroll down to the bottom of this, and then you can download this in an Excel in blazing speed. There it is, and then you open it up, and then this is in Excel spreadsheet format. Well, I think, yeah, okay, you're right. Yeah. I'm on work with me. There we go. And then, so here it is. This is basically the information that's in Excel that's extrapolated the address, the owner, owner's address, the booking page where it was recorded. You know, all the information you could add to those cells and all that kind of stuff. And it's basically just taking that, what was in the labels and puts it into something where you could add and take away. Yeah, and I'm not going to go into an Excel class today on it. That's for a different day. I'm trying to think of some other things here. Oh, this is interesting. Let's just click on this right here. I don't know how many of you remember the way it used to be. This is a non-homesteaded property. This is a vacant lot that is in Crystal Falls right here. Okay. Now let's suppose that you wanted to pull some comps on this, and of course this has the comparables that are not in MLS too. You know, you got your MLS, it's very powerful. I'm not taking anything away from that. But if you click comp when you're on the property, this way is you highlight the box that you want over here. Here's all the characteristics about the property. Okay. So, if you want it in that neighborhood, in that general area, you want it even in that subdivision specifically. And let's just say you do want to make sure it's a vacant lot, and then you just come down here and basically there's your comp. There's your subject right there, and there's your comps right here. What they sold for, when they sold, and all that kind of stuff. And there is, how many did I see here? We've got 27 results in blazing speed. And let's see, on the map, guys, this is one of the really stronger features that I kind of started with. There's your comps, there's your vacant sales comps right there. It highlights them, and you're saying, okay, well, now which one's which here? Well, if you put your cursor over the top of that, see where it's red right down here? Yeah. Or vice versa, you want to know where this one is. It's right. Scroll down. It'll tell you, they highlight up red. There's that one. There's that one. There's that one. It moves it around. And if you want to, let's suppose that let's just suppose that you wanted to, I don't know, search an area. We're going to search. We're going to say, okay, I want to search by line. I just want to know who owns these properties right here. Select them all for you. And then, or if you wanted to just, let's see.
The same person owns all this. Is that what you?
No, I just wanted to see, and here it is, the person that,
Okay.
basically I just selected, let's suppose you wanted in Crystal Falls, let's go back to this feature here. And I just wanted to know those who own along 66 Lane. There it is. Let's, of course, you can measure with this if you want to know how long it is from 58th Avenue all the way to the canal. Go right there and just click it twice. It's 3,981 feet. You could also, let's see. Yeah, there's just more search tools. I tell you one that I do like is, as the official mapper, they have what they call GIS. It's a geographic information system. It is the same technology that we use to launch missiles from here that go into terrorist windows over there. And it's, what it is it's based on the same technology. How many of you have seen some of the newer model cars that have the digital speedometer that whenever you go by a sign, it tells you that the sign, the speed's changed? Have y'all seen any of that? In some of the newer models, they have it'll tell you the speed limit and that you should be going, and then your actual speed or whatever. And as soon as you go by where it says 55 down to 45, it changes instantly. What that is it's been mapped by the traffic division or something, or with the county, city, or state. And the way that works is it's what they call false origins. And due to the shape of Florida, due to the shape of a state, every state has this for the GIS. And because Florida has a vertical, a peninsula up and down, and a horizontal panhandle, we have two false origins. States like Tennessee, which is just basically horizontal, they only have one. Okay. The two false origins that we have, the first one is they're both up in the Gulf of Mexico, underwater, and it's just a spot that they said, okay, here is the one. One's off Fort Myers, the other one's off Panama City. Then from there, you go in coordinates north and east. And so basically what it is when you look at this, you see these numbers right here? Those are the exact spot from the false origin in Fort Myers. It is 830, I'll do this real quick right here. 839,040.97 seconds and north, and 128,810 to the east. And so that is an exact that's exact spot, and you move it any at all, and it changes. And the significance of that, yep, and the significance of that is when you come over here, you can also you use the state plane X, Y coordinates, which is what I'm talking about. You can also do a lot of longitude and latitudes. And the reason that's significant, maybe not for the most of what everybody does in here, but you get out west of town where then you have the groves, there's no street sign. There's no, and you, yeah, you can give latitudes and longitudes and lock it in and find it on phone out there in the middle of nowhere, and you'll know you're looking at the right piece of property.
When they first moved here, they had lateral A or
Lateral, yep, those.
I was like, what the heck is that? There's no streets.
There's ditches, yep. How many of you, I'm sure, have used the yearly sales? Y'all seen this function? Those are the sales for.
Wow. How'd you do that?
Okay, I'll tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna just get, let me go to a fresh screen, and then let me just, y'all saw how to do all that. So let me go back to home search, and let's go, real property, and then let's go to, give me a Crystal Falls address.
6730. 49th.
Okay, and then blazing speed. Okay, and then we go back to, we're going to view the map now. Go back to the map. And I'm going to zoom out. And there's the house next to you sold, or excuse me, the lot next to you sold back in February of 2021 for $40,000. Mike Schlitt bought it. Okay, you can go. What it is you just go down to the layers over here, and if you see, you might have to do that. See how it's hidden, but you got yearly sales. That's the aerial imagery. Here's the yearly sales. Open that dialog box up, and if you want to find out how many, that took everything away. These are the ones that sold in 2020. They're a different color. The house to the south, a couple south of you, back in the end of 2020, sold for $320,000. And y'all see how the hover mode works right here? You can do it in normal mode. And basically what that do is you got to click on it if you want that information. But I like the hover mode. That way you just drag it over the top. And blazing speed, get that information. Yeah, and click on the report.
Yeah.
There is a way, if you wanted to mark on this, that you just take this right here. You could do let's do a line with text like that. And let's do small, and we'll do it in, with a marker. We can change the markers if you want. Let's do a star. And then you just, label the text, let's call it, I don't know, pool. Like that. And then say that you want to be able to take the pool and put the pool right there, it labels it for you. You just take it to tell you what pool and south end, or septic or well or whatever. Just go.
They'll tell you where you can install the pool?
No, let's say that you wanted to show in general the contract where you wanted the pool.
Okay.
You can go to pull up the property and you just, well, on the map, you can draw stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Thank you.
Mhm.
This might not matter to very many people in here, but it's very, very interesting, is we have the coastal construction line over on Barrier Island or on the beach. That's one of the layers. I'll start these back. We have the aerials. You find this interesting. Here's the countywide aerials right there. Shows you what it looked like back in, I need to get rid of that. Shows you what it looked like back in 2005. They were building that house right there in Crystal Falls. But of course you could change that to the reason why I chose 2005, that was right after the hurricanes. We could only have a certain number of these layers, but I wanted something immediately after the hurricanes, just in case people had to prove they had an existing dock or something like that, to be able to rebuild it. I'm gonna undo that. Also, we have the pictometry. Oh, up here. This goes back, it'll show you the municipal boundaries, the private schools, some of this is where I want a whole lot more interaction together. I'd like for you to be able to eventually click on your property record card and to be able to say, okay, who's my county commissioner, and be able to email them directly from right there. Just make that, because it is a district that you live in.
The boundaries for that change, or are they pretty?
That they will change, and when they change, we update them.
Okay.
It's not anything that I've got the GIS guy who did it for the county. He actually worked for David, and then the county hired him away. And then now I hired him back, so the world is round back again. So
cool.
Yeah. This is interesting. Tangible personal property is what businesses pay on things that aren't basically taxed. So like a farmer on his tractor, it doesn't have a tag, but there's value there. And some of those tractors are $300,000, $400,000 units. And that is taxed just like a piece of $400,000 real estate. And so they have, we got this little company here called PIPER Aircraft. And so let's do PIPER Aircraft, and it's thinking for me. And so you want to see their tangible property that they pay. They have a bunch of lathes, CNC lathes, where they manufacture the aircraft parts and all that kind of stuff and everything. They're taxed at about $16.5 million worth of just tangible personal property. And you want to know where it's located to, get the link to the real estate with that, and click on that, and it'll take you right to the building out there that will tell you where the real estate is and has the tangible personal property on it. You can do a permit search on this if you want to. I'm going to expand this. So, but anyhow, I don't know what else I left off, guys.
I have to scoot out. Thank you so much.
You're very
for your
welcome.
time. I
Absolutely.
appreciate it very
No, my
much.
pleasure.
You too.
Okay. It's changed so much from the old site. It has so much more information.
Thank you.
Oh, it is awesome.
And we'll
But
try to
it
make
is a learning curve to try to figure it out.
That's why I do these road shows. I started them back up right before the Delta variant hit hard and stopped. Got about, I don't know, did about 5 or 6 real estate companies. And then when Mike reached out to me to ask me about it, I love doing these because with this service that we have here, they also, they can track where people go, what they click on, and they do that. It helps us put stuff where it's easy. For example, the property, the Pro Tools aren't something that the tax estimator, it's something a lot of people want to go to. So that's why it's at the bottom. But property search, everybody hits the property search button. That's why it's one of the first things that's up there. In addition to that, it tells me how many clicks we have, where they go, how long they're there. And
So it tracks it.
it tracks it, but
Cool.
this is the reason for that, is it lets me know how much, they assign a dollar figure to my staff time. And like Don and my crew, and then they assign a dollar figure for y'all's time. And it shows me the actual savings so that you're able to find that information without having to call us and asking us for it.
Oh, wow. So that's.
And then, we're pushing about $10 million, as a matter of fact, since we've started this in April, of just the amount of time people go on there, find their own information. And if you can do your homestead application and do it online without having to come into the office. Yeah.
You know, people have this question, property value is so much, but they've been locked in a homestead for 20 years. How are they gonna base the new taxes? Is it gonna be solely on the purchase price, or is it gonna be based on a lot of factors?
A lot of factors. We'll take portability into account. It will go,
If there is no portability,
if there is no portability, we don't take that into account.
okay,
But yeah, it's gonna go, if they've had the homestead property, the value's been held down artificially because of the state of our homes. It can only go up by 3% of the consumer price index, whichever's less.
mhm.
And so therefore, when you have a market that's running out like right now, there's gonna be a significant spread between the,
How can we guide our folks to not be so afraid or to, I always tell them the tax basis is gonna be different
yes.
once you sell. I do tell them that,
Yeah.
but they say, how different?
Well, were you here for the property tax estimator? No.
No.
Let me take you to it. You got an example of a property you wanna look at?
2155 Island Drive.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Two, 155.
Island.
What did I do wrong? I'm in the right spot. Oh, you know what? I do not like, let's try that right there.
Okay.
2, 1.
55.
Island Drive right there. Okay, and now, so here you have it. The tax district is the county Sebastian Inlet. All right, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go back. And then I'm gonna go down to the property tax estimator. Come on, Wesley, here, let's go to home. And that's down here at the very bottom, under Pro Tools, right here.
Gotcha.
And then I'm gonna go to the tax estimator right here. And then it's gonna go closer to the purchase price. What is the sale price?
Let's say $1.1 million.
Okay, they're gonna homestead it,
I would think yes.
okay, and they don't have any portability, you said?
No.
All right, and we need to go to that number 7 that I mentioned.
Mhm.
County, no Sebastian, oh, nope, missed it. And you saw where I found that information on the tax.
At the bottom, right?
Yeah. And compute this right here.
Okay.
There it is, in blazing speed, 15,400.
Oh, man, that's crazy.
You see how I did that? Back up one more time?
No, but that really, I guess,
But what it is
is about 1.5% of the sales price of ballpark.
on the lower end ones, it very well could be almost 2%.
Okay, so 1.4. I've been quoting them too. But
That's
it
me
frightens
saying,
people.
I
It does.
quoted people too, and then they call me, Diane.
It's
you know
less.
what? I did so much less
Yeah,
than what you
right.
told me.
Yeah, so really, I think if you have a client that you're selling a house to, if the difference between 1.5% and 2% in what the taxes are gonna be is gonna make or break the deal, you really need to be on the heavy side with them to begin with.
Okay,
You go ahead and sell 2%. You're doing them a better favor, because you're helping them out. Because if they can't afford $15,000 in taxes versus, if they can't afford $20,000 in taxes, they shouldn't be buying $1 million home.
okay.
Can you tell them it won't go over 2%? It wouldn't be over 2%?
I would feel comfortable doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could say it's a range between
Yeah.
1.5 and 2, so
Yeah.
you're kind of covered.
Yeah.
Yeah,
One of the things that I have said is that, because, you know, I've had people that have paid $500 in taxes because they've had it forever.
Yeah.
right.
And they go, oh, I can get this house because I'm only gonna pay $500. I go, no, it's on the sale price.
Thank you.
And it's 2% of the sale price.
Please.
And they turn around and they go, oh, wait a minute, okay, so now they know ahead of time.
Let me tell you a real story.
Oh, and the other thing is that I tell them, once you homestead, once you're
It'll
there,
bring it down.
it'll bring it to.
Usually about $500-600, is that right?
About right.
That's about what I
That's
thought.
Yeah.
I look especially with the new bills because they say it's $434.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Right.
And I go, oh, so you're wrong.
Yeah, that's on a vacant lot. You have a house on there. But this is a true story, and Diane Bradley, as a matter of fact, had this client. And the person that they bought the house from had been in there forever, but more importantly, they're like 100% disabled veteran, therefore their assessed values was like nothing.
Mhm.
And whenever the new person bought it, didn't realize that it would, going to have $2,500 tax bill. And they were really expecting, the $333 or whatever it was. And to add insult to injury on it is they bought it like this time of year. So they couldn't file for homestead for long, further down. So they had an entire year of that cap being removed and then paying the full board, no homestead until they could file for it.
Nobody explained it to them?
Well, evidently not. And I tried to explain it and I did. I mean, I explained it to both of them. They asked, how could this thing jump so much? And I went back and looked at it, and whenever they mentioned it to me, I knew exactly what it was. I mean, it was,
But then a lot of the states don't do like we do it a year behind.
Yeah.
And they're so,
really,
and a lot of the states, the people that I have talked to said, oh, well, wait a minute, is that the tax for this year? No, it's not, it's the tax, it's the
last year, yeah, the taxes for
So
this
you
year
really
aren't
have
due
to-
yet.
yeah.
Yeah.
When people put new things on like roofs, windows, doors, does it increase its value tremendously?
No.
Or minimally?
No, if you add a $80,000 pool, the value of the house would go by $80,000. If you add a roof, a $20,000 new roof, the value of the house doesn't go up by that much. But a house that has a new roof or newer roof will bring more money than one does. And so we factor that in, with maybe $2,000-3,000 max on a new roof.
Okay,
It does add some value, but it doesn't.
it doesn't make it go crazy?
No,
Okay.
no, not at all.
My son will love me for that.
Yeah. So what do you get, a pool or a roof?
I did both
Wow.
and windows. And-
Yeah.
And it's funny because I said, you're getting this pool for $75,000, you're never gonna get that.
No.
He says, but mom, we only paid 96 for the house.
Yeah. Well, there
I
you
said,
have it.
so there you go, it's
Yeah.
about relative,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and on a $75,000 pool, I would be shocked if we had $30,000 worth of value to it. I bet you it's closer to 20, 25, maybe. But again, I don't make that call. I've got a good talented crew of people that go out there and, whenever I first got into the office, they'd go in, they'd write down the plans, they'd add all this stuff, get the permit, write it down, and then come back in, enter it in the computer and do all that kind of stuff.
Do they assess much for unpermanent structures like sheds?
We do,
or-
everything has value, yeah.
Okay, but probably minimally, I'm thinking,
Yeah.
because it could be
Yeah, I mean,
removed or destroyed by a storm.
sure, yeah. But there's value there.
Okay,
But now the guys, what they do we have field units, they have iPads, they go out there, they enter all the stuff in, they can do it right there, sitting there, they won't touch it twice. When they enter in, they even take a picture of the property with the iPad and it hits the upload button, go on to the next, you don't have to come back to the office. And, yeah,
It's
we
really.
have the
long
same,
way.
yes, we had the same staff. When I was a county commissioner during the Great Recession in 2010, we had to cut the budget. We told all the constitutional officers, everybody cut your budget by 30%. You can't do that without taking staff. And so the staff was reduced down to 39 positions. And to David's credit, he did it and did down to 39 positions. And we are at that still today with the increase in parcel growth.
Wow, wow, that's great.
so you've increased your efficiency through the programs
Through technology.
that you have.
Yep.
Cool.
Same staff.
Wow, that's impressive.
Thank you. I'm proud of my crew.
Can I ask you, where do you find the dimensions of the lot? Used to be very clearly
Give me an address again, do you want to know?
2155 Highland Drive.
215. 2155. Okay, and, all right, so we're looking at it here. You can get it by coming down here. Come on. Oop. I'll go ahead and close out of the Excel. All right. Go to the report right here. And then let's scroll down. They got, that means they got a life estate, by the way, in case y'all were wondering.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, what?
A life estate.
That when you see LE right
Yeah.
there, that means they have a life estate. Here's on the,
I see the LLC one, you could pull it right out of it or something.
Oh, yeah, the LLC.
past it, where is it? Building the land right here. Okay, right here is about the lot, it's a third of an acre, that many square feet, and it's 130 by 120.
Okay, how did you pull it up by putting more?
No.
More,
No, just, it's all on the property record card.
is it?
Yeah, and just scroll down and, you'll see the land, sales,
Gotcha.
and then, past it, Dang, there's land information right here. See land, and if you.
Oh, land information.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you can collapse these, if there's more, if you see that plus,
Yes.
there's more
Oh,
information
so
behind that.
interesting.
Yeah, you can make any of this go away or come up. Here's another way to do it. I showed everybody is right here. Is you can go to the plat book where this is recorded, and this takes you to the clerk's website. And there's your lot right. Let's see. Is it a waterfront lot?
Yes,
Probably one of these right here then.
I think that's the edge. I think it's more towards the road.
Oh, there's
First
no
one
one.
in.
Right.
That's it. Yes, right on the other side.
And you could pick that out by. This is in the wrong daggone spot. There it is. Okay. All right. There it is. If you look on here, see this lot, that lot 4
Mhm.
on that parcel ID, that correlates to that plat. So then let's go back to that and we'll find that lot 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's your lot right there.
Mhm.
And then you can zoom in on that. You could zoom in on that, zoom in.
And I'll give you the dimensions there as well.
Yep, 130 by 120.
Interesting.
That's recorded on the plat. That's why I put that on there. Very few people really use that unless you're in the real estate profession or a surveyor or in construction. It's one of those that I use it enough that it's not, you can find all that in the clerk's website. Just gotta know
Are
where to
plats
look.
in all subdivisions like that?
Yes,
Okay.
every subdivision will have a plat, and you see where that plat book was recorded. And all you got to do is just go right over here to the plat book link and click on that.
Cool.
And also, if you want to, there is a pictometry function right here. And again, this is slow because it leaves my website. But what this does is you can rotate it around. There's your water view. Do the 360. And it's clear too. Yeah, so maybe
Wow.
you copy that and put it on your brochure.
Very
whatever-
cool.
whatever want to
Thank
do.
you.
Oh, that's great.
That's
Actually,
actually,
very informative.
you should have been here earlier.
Well,
yeah, we
what's your next question? Where is it?
Give me your phone real quick, or go to my web page on your phone.
Okay.
I'll show you a little feature, you'll get it. This is what I started with.
So I guess I go to Google, right?
Yep. Just Google RCPA.
The planning and zoning used to have a comprehensive that was done in January and in July.
In July, yeah, it's called the,
What is it called now?
Uh,
I'm trying to get it.
Union County Property Appraiser website, okay.
um,
How do I save that?
actually, she was able to do that.
Could you save it for me?
It was the,
So I can use it on my phone then? Okay,
Yeah.
cool.
yeah, but I want to show you something new on there too. I want to, I know it was put out twice a year. I want to say it's like the annual report, community development report.
That's what I thought. I went on their website. and
Call them.
looked.
Just give them a
I
call.
did.
Yeah.
Cool. So she put it on the-
Yeah,
Maybe I'll just
put
go
it on
on
the
there,
phone,
but it's
but
called community.
But on here,
The community development report.
I couldn't, we couldn't.
That's
figure
what
it
it
out,
is,
so
right?
he just
Yeah.
added it on.
I used to
So it's up here.
Yeah, you can get it online. You get it, you can
Well,
download it.
that's what I thought, but for some
Um,
reason I tried to get it and it's not coming up.
But it'll right now.
Galaxy.
Yeah. Yeah, Galaxy, yes, no, I understand.
Because,
I've
you know,
got
there's
the-
so much being built nowadays, and I wanted to see what some of. the
How do you
things are.
determine new construction, may I ask?
With the permit.
Okay, so by the time you're finished, you have an idea of what it's gonna be or even start?
As far as value,
Yeah, as far as value.
the building department assigns that. For example, you pull your builder pulls the permit,
Right,
and then the county has a matrix formula or system they assign the value to. We
okay,
don't go by that. Because right now, you go build a $200,000 home in Vera Lake Estates, it's pushing 300 kind of thing. So, you know, just because that's the value of the permit doesn't, we don't give that much merit. We look at sales, arm's length transactions.
I looked at one of those houses in St. Christopher's and they built something out in Amelia Plantation. I looked at the property value and was really like shocked over how low the taxes were. How does that work?
Well, one of them could have been Homestead, they could have portability.
They did have portability,
Yeah.
so they ported it from St. Christopher's
To,
to Amelia.
Yep.
And had like a 5,000, but it's like a 3,500 square foot house with a pool.
Yep.
For like $5,200, I was like,
yeah,
it's like,
and
is that
basically-
realistic?
Yeah,
or-
basic portability was designed so somebody could actually sell the house, downsize or whatever, and not wind up paying more taxes than where they left from.
I understand the reasoning behind it, because California's got some,
Yeah.
a similar type of thing.
Yep.
Where people aren't phased out of being able to make a change.
You're exactly. Let me show you what on the, be able to get ready.
Trying to save it.
Yeah, Samsung.
I've got to say something, I'm using it on mine.
How do you say, did you bookmark it or?
What's that?
How did you say, you just bookmark it?
Really hit download and then,
Switch it.
yeah, and it saved it,
It's,
changed it to where I wanted it to go.
it doesn't have a. So
But if I went up to the
I
county,
had a big shot.
ask them for it, then they'll be able to get it for me.
Hold on 1 second.
I said favorite pages, but that's not it.
Is there anything in the making for affordable rentals or affordable housing that's earmarked in any River County? I know there's some earmarked in St. Lucie. I don't know how it's going. About a year ago, they talked about a development being built that people have to qualify for on certain limitations as far as income,
Yeah,
but keeping the price down to, I don't know how they're gonna do it because the cost of materials has gone so.
that's exactly it, yeah.
Oh, there I see it. Community development report. Thank
Where?
you.
Where is it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
To the left,
all right.
Step
Oh,
from
you
the
are.
bottom side,
So you went
To
into
the
the
left.
community development, not into the planning
Down
and
there.
zoning.
down, next one here.
There you go.
Super.
And they have it out right now for January, let's see, February 5, 20, there it is, January 2021.
All right, I knew I was looking for it.
A lot of
Oh, you
information.
you are fabulous.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can print it off and it's 89 pages. And that's, anybody in real estate really ought to get,
I've actually,
look through this.
exactly, because there's a
Why?
couple of different.
Oh my gosh,
places
it tells you,
that-
it tells you a lot about the demographics, but then you get into the number of, once you get past the demographics, the projected population,
Oh my
where,
gosh.
tells you the demographics of the population, that, tells you the number of permits pulled, single family, multifamily, gives you the, number of, employment, the jobs.
And that's on your website, right?
No, that's on the, Community Development Department's website of, Inver County. Yep, I'll leave it up for, but now, go to my website on your phone.
Wesley, you just saved me.
I knew it was there. I didn't know
And I
exactly.
know it was,
Yeah.
I know I used to get it.
Yeah.
For some reason, it looked a little bit different, but I kept on going to planning. and
Okay, here
zoning.
it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Overview,
yeah, you can just hit that website.
website. Thank you. Cool.
All right, now hit the three lines right there. Yep.
Yeah.
And hit search, property search,
Um,
and then hit map or accept the terms.
Okay, agreed.
And is map in that dark blue bar? Nope. Okay,
Okay, now.
right. And then
A little slow.
it is.
Yeah, I need to get it updated.
All right, now see the plus, the minus over there on the far, yep, hit the below the very bottom button, right there,
Okay,
and push allow.
wow,
Mhm. And then what happens, that just found you right where you're sitting.
that's pretty cool.
Now hit the blue eye button next to the plus.
The blue,
Yep.
Yeah.
The information
that
button.
one?
Yep.
Okay,
And now you want to know who owns the property right across the street from it, just tap it now. There it is, property record card.
wow,
Isn't that cool?
that's very cool, thank you.
You're welcome.
That is like
It
really
is the best.
awesome.
I'm telling you, Don, you took this.
There you
Do you have another
Don't tell her
question
about
somewhere?
the-
I will, yeah, in fact, I think, did y'all go Keller Williams in St. Lucie County?
Yeah.
I think Mike wants me to do it for them
Yeah, we
too.
got an invite.
Is that what it
I don't know if we would respond yet.
I also have the, this on the 15th, I'm doing it for the Exchange Club at CJ Cannon's. In the banquet room across from the restaurant. Be doing it again for
On the
Exchange
15th, what time?
Club. Noon.
Okay,
One time, yeah, they put lunch out.
okay.
On the 18th.
Do I have to
15th.
reserve or can I just show up? How does that-
I would contact.
CJ Cannon's?
I'm not sure who that is.
Yeah, I
The
don't,
Exchange Club?
yeah,
Okay.
Because they'll need to, see reservation stuff.
yeah.
When you talk about Exchange Club, is that a real estate exchange?
No, it's
No,
the social, the service,
Internal organization.
like the Kiwanis Exchange, Rotary,
Okay, which one is it?
it's the Exchange Club.
Okay,
You can
okay,
Google it, you'll find it.
gotcha.
Yeah, yeah, you, I bet they got a website.
They do have it.
Okay, I'll get on the website and see if, if I can.
I'll tell you who to get a hold of, Dustin Haynes. You know Dustin with,
Yes.
what,
He's with,
Coa Banker.
is it, yeah, Caldwell.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's the one that reached out to me.
okay,
And so get a hold of Dustin and say, hey, you heard, you have a fabulous speaker coming next week.
that's.
that's true.
But you are, and thank you so
Wesley, thank
very
you,
much.
your information was invaluable.
Good.
Oh,
Anything I can do to help make y'all more money, I'll let you know. Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much.
Made it easier
Yep.
for us to.
I tell you, wow.
Y'all were great. I enjoyed it. Thank you for the lunch too, by the way. Didn't expect that.
Thank you so much for coming.
My pleasure. Good to see y'all.
Speaking of, they come back again.
I know.